Have you ever wished you could eavesdrop on a conversation with a millionaire? My name is Michelle Thompson. I'm a retired project controls engineer and business professor, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this podcast. I get to ask the questions that everyone else wishes they could. I'm going to find out exactly how they were able to build their empires through automation and outsourcing. And I'm going to break it down in a way that helps you build your business to run on autopilot. Don't miss out on Automate to Dominate.
From author Donnie Bovine comes the book, How to Be a Success Champion, available on Amazon. After years of living other people's dreams, author Donnie Bovine decided to jump out on his own and start a business, thinking it would be easy. Instead, he had a rude awakening and quickly understood that he had spent 20 years being an employee and had no idea how to be a business owner. His business was tanking, and he was on the brink of losing everything when he decided to fight for business freedom. In this must-read and life-changing book, author Donnie Bovine shares with readers his story intermingled with lessons learned from his mistakes and his failures. In How to Be a Success Champion, you will find advice the author received from mentors and how he went from zero to a six-figure business. The author walks you through the steps of how to get out of your own way, how to play the game of business and win, find your strengths, how to network effectively, how to build a personal brand, how to create champions for your business, how to get great at sales, how to take complete ownership of you and your business. How to Be a Success Champion from author Donnie Bovine, available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback editions. Order your copy right now. It makes a great book for corporate events too. How to Be a Success Champion from author Donnie Bovine, available on Amazon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Automate to Dominate. Today's guest is Austin Netzley, and he is just killer. I mean, the stats that this guy has are just ridiculous. I mean, he's not only an author, an investor, and a business growth advisor, but are you guys ready for this stat? In less than 2 years, the company that he is owner and CEO of, 2X, has helped clients generate over $172 million and counting. So, Austin, thank you so very much for being willing to be on our show.
Absolutely. Michelle, as soon as I saw the title of your podcast and show here, I was like, hey, we've got to talk. That's my jam. I love that stuff. So we're going to have a good chat today.
Yeah, actually, I labeled it on the Facebook Live, Systems Are So Sexy. And everybody's like, oh, no.
I should have worn my Systems Are Sexy shirt. Right? We have a bunch of 2X shirts. I'll send you one.
Oh, my gosh, that's hilarious. I really didn't even know that you had a T-shirt that said that. That's hysterical. So tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up being this massively successful coach.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We've still got some things to learn and develop, but we've got some good traction right now. So I'm super excited about where we've come to. I started out as a mechanical engineer. I went to school not knowing anything about entrepreneurship or whatnot. I went to get my engineering degree, had this like three-pronged plan to go up the corporate ladder. I was going to get my engineering degree, get some sales experience, go back and get my MBA. And that was it. I was going to work my way up the corporate ladder. And I was good. And, as 18 years old, I thought I was, brilliant.
Had the world
with
figured out, right?
This three-pronged plan. It was good. I was like, it was easy from there. So I got started down the path, and it was great for the most part. Like I really enjoyed the corporate world, but then I looked at people that were ahead of me, my mentors and whatnot in the corporate company. And I worked for a huge oil company. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be there. I want to do this other thing where I've got freedom and impact, this limitless upside and whatnot. So I learned about entrepreneurship, and I started to just like go all in and to really consume and learn for the first time in my mid-20s what entrepreneurship even was, because I didn't grow up around any entrepreneurs or anything. So long story short, started dabbling on the side, built my first business up to where it was making more money through automation than I was in my six-figure full-time job in the corporate world. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't need this job anymore. So took a little mini retirement, traveled around, and went back to the drawing board of like, all right, what do I want to do? I don't want to do this entrepreneurship thing, but what do I want to do so that I'm getting fully fulfilled, where I'm making an impact, really something that I want to do for the rest of my life, something that I can, obviously make a good impact on people's lives with. So I went through a couple of different iterations of different businesses, and then that led me to coaching. And that's where I really started to kind of find my footing. And now, over the past few years, I've worked directly with hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs and small business owners all across the world. And now we have a one-on-one coaching program. So I've actually had 5 different businesses, sometimes successful, sometimes not so successful. But at the end of the day, after burning out really, really bad, and burning out so bad, I had to call 911 because I was having anxiety attacks. And I had to go back and be like, okay, there has to be a better way to build this thing. And that's when I started to learn about systems and great operations and automation and some of the stuff that you talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you just launched your book, from 6 to 7 figures, and we're going to go into that in just a little bit. But tell me about, how did you manage to build a business running primarily off of systems and automation?
So my first company was a day trading company, and I was in sales at the time, so I had flexibility with my schedule. But like the market would open, and I'd be watching everything. I'd be trading. I would be making money, losing money, it was stressful as can be. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, like I'm doing this to get out of the financial situation that I was in. I was deep in debt coming out of college, and I was like, I'm doing this to have financial peace of mind, and this is doing the exact opposite. So I was like, all right, this can make me money and do what I want it to do, but it can't do it in the way that I was doing it, where I was just like on it all day. So I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out, how to do it right, so that, yes, I wasn't going to win every single time, but I was going to have a system that was going to be able to, over time, make money pretty confidently.
Hit singles instead of home runs.
Yeah, exactly. And then second of all, I was going to be able to use automation to do that for me, so that I didn't have the day-to-day, minute-to-minute stress, and I didn't have to monitor anything. I literally turned it on in the morning, turned it off at night. So I taught myself a little bit of coding, again, engineering background. I like
built yourself stuff. A nice robot, did ya?
Yeah, exactly. So just a little bit of coding, enough that it was going to be functional, and I had my strategy. And basically all I would do is like research the right stocks to put into this, and then turn it on in the morning and turn it off at night, see how I did, create a list of lessons learned, make some tweaks if I had to make some tweaks, but it was pretty much turn on, turn off. And over time made me a good amount of money.
That's so funny, because you and I did almost the exact same thing. So I was a project engineer and went and got my MBA, scaling the corporate ladder type deal, but still had this entrepreneurial itch. So I started trading Forex, and it was hilarious because I was working 412s. Right. And so, I was working from 6 a.m. to about 7 o'clock p.m. on my day job. And then I'd be getting up at 2 a.m. so that I was up for the London Open, which is when you usually make money on Forex. And I was doing the same thing. I was like burning out. I was like, this is crazy. I've got to figure it out. So I did the same thing you did. I was like, if I can just set the parameters, a robot can do this for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it would make better decisions, right? Because like sometimes you would get away from your strategy and make emotional decisions or whatever.
I always do. I'm like, I just want half that profit. I know I wanted 200 pips, but I'm good. I'm good with 75 pips.
Yeah.
Then I get killed on my next trade.
Yep.
Yeah. How funny. Okay. So aside from, the stock market and things like that, how have you learned how to build automation and systems into, every business to help others?
I went down in my next business. I went down a similar path where it was a digital agency, and so much was built around me. And we came out of the gates just swinging. We did 6 figures in our first month in this service. And I was like, all right, that's amazing. Now I got to fulfill on it. And that was a whole new challenge to face. And then at the time, it was me and I think just a virtual assistant and my buddy who was part-time. And he had no experience in anything that we were doing. I was just helping him out. So I was like, all right, here's my squad. Here's what I got to do. I got to fulfill on this thing that I've sold a lot of right now. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put together a step-by-step game plan of everything that we do. We ultimately built out 162 steps or something for this deep dive book launch process at the time. And most of it started over a period of several months being able to be run by a virtual assistant in the Philippines. So it was all mapped out, and we had enough of the templates and structures in place to be able to do that. And then fast forward a year, business was doing really well, and I was traveling all summer with my girlfriend at the time. And I really realized the goal that so many business owners are after. Like, you get in business to make an impact, to make some money, to have some freedom, to do certain things, whatever. And then you get into business, you're like, wait a minute, this is a lie. I don't have any of those things unless you do have the power of automation of systems and of a couple people. And you don't need a huge team. You can have a couple people do a really, really good amount of job with the right system. So then I just went into a deeper and deeper learning about systems. And there's not a ton out there about systems, but just through my own trials and tribulations and networking with so many people, I just continued to learn the power of it. And now it's at the heart of everything that we talk about, having systems, because it's repeatable. It helps you delegate better, it helps you set up your team for success. It makes things more efficient. It makes the client experience better. It drives more profitability, yada, 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 yada. They're the key to scale, in our opinion. So now, again, we talk about them every single day. Even today, I've got 75-minute training just on a couple systems alone because it's so important.
Yeah. And that, I keep telling people, if you take the time to build the foundation and build the processes and your standard operating procedure so that it's cookie cutter, it's the exact same thing every time, at that point, then it's just plug and play. You can scale as much as you want. Yep. And, people are like, I don't have time to do that. How can I do that? Because you're working in your business, not on your business.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that we tell people is like, because that is the same thing that comes up, is like, I don't have time to do that. I know I need it, but the thing is, they're already doing the work. Yeah. Like if you're already doing the work, you can easily, press record on the Loom video and just talk through exactly what you're doing and have an assistant turn that into an SOP. You can spend an extra, 20% of your time to turn it into exact steps, and other people can do that. And that's really your job, is to make things so easy that your team cannot fail. Think of McDonald's. McDonald's can hire anybody off the street and they can make a Big Mac just as good as you or I or a chef or anybody. Why? Because they have the proper structure and systems in place to set them up so that they can't fail. Like it is really, you have to try to fail to not make a good Big Mac. You know what I'm saying? So that's your job. And it's just a mentality switch. As as you're looking at your business and your role and everything, you've got to be the leader to just be thinking, okay, there's a challenge or there's something that we're doing. What's the system that can fix that? Yeah. And a quick little story that I learned from Howard Schultz. He was the CEO of Starbucks. He was out at a new location at one of the new stores. And he walks into the store, and this is like a big deal, right? Like he doesn't go to these locations very often. So he's at the store, and obviously all the employees and everybody are super excited. And he gets there, and there's a light out, and it's like a bad look for the manager there and this whole department. And he could have done he could have got really pissed. He could have, had them fix it right away. Could have, berated them, whatever. Instead, what he did, and this is the mentality that people need to have, instead of what he did is he immediately called back to headquarters, and whoever was the head of that entire department all the way up the chain, many levels up from the store, and said, what's the system to fix a light out? And he went straight back to fix the system, went straight back to fix the source. And this was his mentality, because he wasn't worried about one light bulb. He was worried about thousands of light bulbs all across the country and world now. And if he could do that and fix the systems and whatnot, he was going to create a machine. And ultimately, that's obviously what he's done here. So that's the kind of mentality that you need to have, is every opportunity, whether it's good or a challenge that you have, hey, how can we fix this with the system?
Yeah. And that's, I tell people, because a lot of times they have a hard time visualizing it, right? For one of two reasons. Either they have a hard time letting go of control, or they have no idea how to let go of control. And so I kind of put them in this situation where I'm like, okay, today is the last day that you have, and tomorrow you are going to be hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah.
How does your business survive? What system do you have to put in place so that you never touch it again? And it just keeps happening. And when you put it like that, people are like, geez, Michelle, that's really harsh. right? And I'm like, yeah. And you know what? That's exactly what happened to me, because 4 years ago, I had a stroke. And probably my own fault. I mean, there was like an underlying condition. I had a blood clot that went to my brain, but it was because I was so stressed out. Right. And that's probably what triggered it. And it's because I refused to take my hands off anything, and I refused to let somebody else do it. And then I got to the point where, I had a hard time talking and walking, let alone run a business. So I had to figure out, how do we turn it into a system? How do we get rid of it? And so that's why I'm like, so stoked to talk to you about this because, everybody else just kind of glazes over and they're just like, oh my gosh, Michelle, please stop talking. So
no, it's so important. And the cool thing is like once you do it the right way and you start to see and feel the effects, then you're instantly like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I can systemize that. I can automate this. I can delegate that. Like The thing is you have to do it the right way. Yeah. Otherwise you just reinforce, they can't do it. Nobody can do it as good as me. Nobody can do it as fast or whatever. Yep. Remember what I said earlier, like your job is to make it so easy that they're set up to succeed that they can't fail. And then if you do it, then you realize that they can do it. And you're like, wait, I don't have to do that. That's great. And you just then start to retrain your mind instead of, hey, nobody can do it as good as me, to I'm not going to do anything but the highest leverage, most important stuff that I like to do, and that's the transition that you can make. Not and that easy to get there, but it builds momentum.
It all goes back to what you originally said was you're doing it anyway.
Yeah. Hit
record and teach somebody how to do it exactly like you were going to do it and tell them everything that's going on in your brain. So so many people, when we delegate to like a VA or something, we expect them to be a mind reader and we don't even realize we're expecting them to be a mind reader because we make so many decisions in our head that we're like, oh, just do this, do this, do this, this. Yeah. We never tell them. And then we get the product back and we're like, well, that's not what I wanted, So how do you teach business owners to fix that?
Start with some quick wins. Start with some easy stuff. Go to the admin stuff. Like what are some low-hanging fruit things that are pretty easy to do? We'll keep the technical stuff and whatnot. That'll be kind of phase 2 or 3. But start with the easy stuff. And then that will allow you to just better communicate with people. But definitely track things. Like create a log of what a good system looks like. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's a template. Maybe it's a Loom video, which is a simple free video recording software that I love. But just start really small. Start with the easy stuff. Start with the admin stuff that somebody else can do. And that'll just kind of get you into motion. And that'll free up anywhere between 5 and 20 hours. I mean, we have people coming into our 2X program. One guy actually just emailed me today. He started the program working 100 hours a week. In 90 days, we got 90% of the tasks off his plate. 90%.
Wow. So he's working like 10 hours a week now.
Yeah, exactly. And he's working more because he's working on the right stuff. But the tasks that he had 90% off. But he's working about 30 hours a week now. And he went from an average of $66,000 per month now to so far this month, it's right at the end of the month, 169,000, I think, 164,000 in 1 month.
So he like 3X'd.
He 3X'd. And his time, his free time and his peace of mind and every 10X at least, and now he's got the team in place and the systems and structure in place that now he's just got a much healthier company. So he's blowing past his goals and doing some big things. So growth is on the other side of getting some free time so that you can just work on more important stuff because he was doing everything himself. I literally hired 3 people that were pretty low cost employees and combined that with the systems. 3X. And I mean, we're talking about a couple months here, it's not that long of a time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing how powerful it is once people start to learn it. I know you and I both really believe in using VAs a lot. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions that I get a lot is how in the world do I work with somebody on the other side of the world and keep them accountable? And, so tell me about what systems and software do you use with your VAs to keep them cohesive and working well and accountable and able to produce those tasks?
Yeah, great question. We use Asana for a project management system. Our favorite tools, though, from a VA standpoint are number 1, Slack. That's our internal communication. And then number 2 is very simply a daily huddle. We have a daily huddle and we have a simple spreadsheet that shows the big 3 tasks that people are working on every single day. So that in a 7 to 9 minute meeting, we can have everybody on the team go around and say, hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's where I need help. And here's a couple other small things. But like literally in 7 to 9 minutes, we can manage the entire team, including, I think we have 4 VAs now. We have had as many as 8. But we usually have at least 4 to 6 VAs and we're getting ready to hire a couple more. But we love them. I mean, they do so much of our business and so much of the setup and whatnot so that our coaches can do what the coaches need to do, our leaders can do what the leaders need to do. And we have a VA for every single department that we have. So those couple things, Slack just to kind of keep them engaged, and then a daily huddle. And it is late for them when we have this, but we make that a part of, the commitment of working with us. And they love it. And like, they have an awesome opportunity. They make great money for their situation, which is beautiful. Yep. And they're, a tenth of the price of potentially somebody in the US sometimes,
Right. Now, I know with, some people out there who are trying to maybe run on a little bit of a leaner budget, if you could start out on Slack for free, but then it starts to get a little bit more expensive, you can basically use Discord to do the exact same thing, which is actually a gamer app. So those of you guys who are listening, if you're looking for a tiny cheat sheet there, check out Discord. It runs almost identical to Slack. Right. But I did want to ask you, so you didn't actually mention like Hubstaff or hours tracking software. How are you doing that?
We don't track people's hours. We
Really?
started out doing that. Yep. But we have all our VAs are full-time. We move really fast as a company. So like, you'll know if somebody's not moving fast with you. And we used to track hours, but at the beginning we do. I don't manage their hours. I've literally in my time as an entrepreneur, never looked at anybody's timesheet ever. When a VA is starting out with us, we do have them report their hours every Friday. They do a full report. That's how many hours they worked, what they worked on, what challenges they had, what questions they have, what were the biggest and most important things they got done. And just to kind of have some closed loops there, and just like improve and iterate and have them reflect a little bit. And they put their hours in there. And then after, whether it's 30 or 60 days, we move them basically to full-time and salary, and we do it. But that's their trial period, is to like see, hey, are they efficient? Are they productive? Are they working enough? So we do track their time, or we have them track their time at the beginning, and then we quickly move off of that.
Awesome. So speaking of time, I know we have a limited amount of time this morning, which is unfortunate. I wish I could talk to you for the next 24 hours, but not the case. So tell us about, from 6 to 7 figures. Tell us about this book. What's in it? How do we find it? Where do we get our hands on it?
Here it is, right here.
Know. Isn't it beautiful?
Super excited. Yeah, no, I'm so excited to get this out there. I've been wanting to do that for a while now, but we work with 6 and 7 figure business owners primarily all across the world. We've got a one-on-one coaching program. So these are a lot of the systems and strategies that we talk about there. And you mentioned to start this, some of the success that we've had and whatnot. And it's not like, 1 out of 10 are successful. It's like 93% to 97% are successful, because it's not some tactics. It's about foundational stuff. Like, systems is at the heart of this, right? It's like really pillar foundational stuff that business owners need to learn in here, and showing them a little bit different way to run a business than a lot of people are talking about. So excited to get that out there. It is now live. We've got paperbacks, and here in a couple weeks at the time of this recording, we'll have hardcovers available as well. So you can get it at 6to7book.com. It's available for free. Like, you just have to pay shipping and handling. So 6to7book.com/free is where you can get that. And I'm really excited to move it to as many people as possible. So just because I think it'll impact a lot of lives. So we're sending it to all of our clients, even 8-figure clients, but it's really designed for people looking that have already started, that are looking to get to the next level, to increase their time, to increase their revenue, and most importantly, bottom line. This is going to help them in a big way. So 6to7book.com/free.
Awesome. That's absolutely amazing. And I want to tell everybody, make sure you check out Austin's website, which is scale2x.com. So SCALE, the number 2, X as in xylophone.com. So if you check it out, you will find a ton of information there on how you can hook up with him and submit an application for coaching if that is something that you find that your business needs. So Austin, one last question for you.
Yeah.
If you had, besides your own book, if you had one book to give to an entrepreneur who was not quite at the 6-figure part, right? They're struggling, they're hustling, and they want to get to 6 figures and then hire you to get to 7 figures, what's the book you'd give them?
That's a great question. The book to get there, I would say, I'm going to have to 2X it and to give you 2. One is The Millionaire Fastline by MJ DeMarco.
MJ DeMarco is amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've interviewed him before, and that book I was reading, and I was like just mind blown. Just
how he thinks. Yeah,
it was really powerful. And it's motivational, so I really like that. And then the second thing I would say is The One Thing. And the reason why I'd say The One Thing is because, and this is by Gary Keller, who's just built an absolute empire. The reason why I'd say that is because at the end of the day, it's about focus. There's so many things that you could do. At the end of the day, you got to really hone in and focus and make things easier on yourself if you get one important thing done per day, you're going to be in a really good spot in your business pretty quickly. And if you really do kind of one thing for your business, you're going to be really good at it pretty quickly. So I would say those two things: MJ DeMarco, Millionaire Fastlane, and the one thing.
Awesome. Austin, thank you so much. This has been absolutely killer interview. And so we will, make sure you check out his website, scale2x.com, and we will catch you guys next time. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you for tuning in to the Automate to Dominate podcast at www.awesomeoutsourcing.com/podcast. My name is Michelle Thompson.